This mindset shift is everything. It affects the way that you show up in life. It affects the decisions you make. It affects what drives you, what your fears, your insecurities, like all of it. This is the big one. When you just say to yourself, how can I create the resources for this? Now all of a sudden it just like opens up your eyes, right? Like it opens up your eyes to the opportunity. So I still, I'm 5 years out of this and I still every month I have an Excel sheet. I do it for my business. I do it for my personal too. And I budget. Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Wellness Revolution. I'm your host, Amber Shaw. And thank you, as always, for being with me today. So, you guys, today we are diving into a topic that is all about reclaiming your power and creating a future you're excited about. And that topic is one that I am so on fire about, which is achieving financial security. For divorced women stepping into a new chapter, I know firsthand that financial freedom isn't just about the numbers. It's about confidence. It's about independence. And it's about building a life that you truly deserve and one that you are meant for. And so I know you've probably heard the age old advice of if you want more money, you just got to save more, right? But here's the real deal. And we all know this. Saving alone isn't the answer. Yes, when we talk about achieving financial independence, yes, of course, we need to have a financial plan, and we're going to talk all about that today, but we need to focus on more than just saving more. Really, I think when it comes to true financial security, it's about making more, right? It's about not just maybe maintaining the lifestyle that we had, before we were divorced. But I think a lot of us have this desire, and I know I did when I was going through divorce and really starting out on my own, but to elevate my income, right? And so I could elevate my lifestyle and really feel secure and not have to worry about, wanting to take the vacation or not having to worry about being one unexpected expense away from totally derailing my finances for the month. I just really wanted to live a life where I could just, buy the things that I wanted to buy, obviously within reason, and just live a comfortable lifestyle and be able to do the things that I wanted to do with my kids. And so I think that and I know that really in order to get there, to achieve financial security, it's really about, shifting your mindset, and it's about really embracing opportunities to really grow and build abundance. Instead of really, moving out of that mindset of really just being stuck in the fear of losing what you have. I can tell you that if I was stuck in, and I didn't take any risks, and I was stuck in that mindset of always being constantly afraid of that I was just going to, of losing what I have, I never would have bet on myself, and I never would have started my own company. And so in this episode today, you guys, we are flipping the script and really talking about how to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. I'm also going to be sharing with you just some other habits or tips that you can do to really take control of your finances and really feel financially secure as we head into 2025. And I got to tell you guys, if what I'm saying, even just in this little setup for what I'm about to dive into, is hitting all the points and this is resonating, and you're like, yes, I want to better my financial situation. And yes, I want to, make more money and all the things. And maybe you've even thought about using your expertise or your experience to create a business of your own. Then you definitely want to grab my workshop that I have coming up on December 18th. And I always do, because I always say the date and then I'm like, God, is that right? Yes, December 18th, you guys. I have a live workshop that's called #the first 5. And this is an exclusive live workshop for divorced moms who want to start an online coaching business. And sidebar, have no idea where to start. And they want to get their first 5 clients in Q1. I am so excited to do this workshop because I have heard from so many women that they've thought about really sharing their story, and maybe, or they're even just sharing what their expertise and experience and creating an online business. But they just have so many ideas that they're just like not sure where to start, or maybe they're even, thinking that they're not qualified to coach. And if you are thinking that, then you definitely need to go back and listen to last week's episode where I talk all about the 3 different types of experts, and really show you that you're more qualified than you think. But I hear from a lot of women that that's really what's holding them back, is it's usually like they don't know where to start, they don't think they're qualified, or they're worried that they don't know how they would manage starting an online business because they're already working a full-time job. And so I address all of this in this workshop. So you guys are going to want to grab it, because for right now, I am going to sell this later on my site for $197. But for right now, when I run this live, those that join it before I go live, they're going to get it for $27. Girl, $27. You can't even, like, I don't even think you can get a pedicure for that much. Okay. $27. That's like, I don't know, what is that? 3 Starbucks drinks, maybe. Okay. These days, that's like a meal at Chick-fil-A. Okay. Seriously. So anyways, you guys, I wanted to make this a no-brainer, make it affordable. So listen, if you guys have ever thought about creating an online business, but you have a lot of hesitations and you don't know where to start, then you definitely want to sign up for this workshop. So let's just get into it. And I want to share with you, I've got 4 habits that I think are big dial movers when it comes to creating financial stability. And again, as always, you guys, a lot of these tips that I share, these are things that I personally have lived through. And these are the things that I implemented into my life, which really helped me to move from a place of scarcity and fear around money post-divorce to moving to a place of just more abundance and financial stability and independence. All right. So the first one, and this is the most important one, because, if you struggle with this one, then the remaining 3 that I'm going to share with you won't even matter, because this one right here, this mindset shift, is everything. It affects the way that you show up. It affects in life. It affects the decisions you make. It affects, what drives you, what your fears, your insecurities, like all of it. This is the big one. And that is shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. For the longest time, I lived with a scarcity mindset even before divorce. And I've realized in doing a lot of the inner work that a lot of that scarcity mindset for me came from the way that I grew up. I think this is true for a lot of us. I grew up with not a lot of money. I was one of 7 kids. I never grew up thinking that I was like poor. I definitely grew up, I think, feeling a little less than, though, because my parents couldn't afford like the name brand stuff. Back when I was a kid, it was like everyone had Keds and Z Cavaricis and LA Gear and Jimmy Z. I know I'm just taking y'all down memory lane, okay? Because I know some of y'all remember this, okay? But my parents couldn't afford that. In fact, any like name brand stuff. In fact, I had so little name brand stuff that I literally had 3 articles of like name brand things that I got. We had Pick and Save back in Daytona Beach, where I grew up, the discount store. And I had a Jimmy Z skirt. It's one of them Velcro wrap skirts. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And I had a Z Cavarici top, and I could tell you exactly what these articles of clothing look like, because they were the only ones I ever got, right? So, but I just share all that to say, like, I grew up with not a lot of money, and I always had my needs met, but I think grew up just having that like scarcity mindset that like money was hard to come by. You had to you shouldn't spend a lot of money. You had to save your money. You had to work really hard to make a lot of money. And these are all money stories that I really grew up with, that I don't think, well, let me backtrack. I will say that I do believe that a lot of my money stories did contribute to the rupture in my marriage. With one of the areas that we really disagreed upon was money, which is for most people, most couples, like it's either like sex, money, and can't remember the other one, but yeah, like typically that's one that that can be hard to come together on. And it's because my ex-husband came to the marriage with his money stories. I came to the marriage with my money stories, and we didn't have the same money story. So that made it very hard. And so even though we had, so we would fight, sometimes about money, really, we both together made so much money that like we were able to get over the fights because we just had a lot of money to spend. I realize that's not everyone's situation, but I only share that because I think it masked really what was really going on with me around money and my scarcity mindset. So when I got divorced, it really triggered me. I mean, I really now all of a sudden, I was had irrational fears around money. And it was just because it was like, man, this was triggering like deep money stories in me that I didn't know existed. So I had to work really, really hard from moving from this place of scarcity where I believe that that money is hard to come by, that you have to work really hard to get money, that you shouldn't spend money, that you can lose it at any time, like all of these things, this like scarcity mindset, right? I really had to work really hard on moving to a more abundance mindset. And I've talked about this before in some of, my other episodes about this mindset shift because I really do believe that it changes everything, because when you can move from this place of saying, hey, I can't afford this, to a more abundance mindset of, well, how can I create the resources for this? Your action changes. Right? Like when you can operate from that abundance mindset, well, then if the story you're telling yourself is, I can't afford this, well, then it just ends there and that's it. And you do nothing, right? But think about it. Think about how just energetically, even just kind of the way that you start going about things, the way that you start planning, the things that you start, researching and interviewing and thinking about, when you just say to yourself, how can I create the resources for this? Now, all of a sudden, it just like opens up your eyes, right? Like it opens up your eyes to the opportunity. You ever hear people say like, oh my gosh, well, once I started, this is how I quote, this is how I manifested that, right? Well, a lot of times the manifestation, and I believe all the time, it starts with a belief and then our action follows the belief, right? And then before you know it, we've manifested it, right? And it's because, our thoughts drive our actions, right? So if you start with the thought, if you start with the thought that I can't afford this, again, like no action happens after that. You just probably feel depressed and then you're bummed out, and that's how you approach everything. But now all of a sudden your eyes are closed, right? Now all of a sudden, if you're operating from this place of, okay, well, you know what? I can't afford this right now, but how can I create the resources to do that? Then all of a sudden your eyes are open. And now you're looking for opportunities, and there's no coincidence that the opportunities just quote fall in your lap. No, it's because your eyes are open and your action is moving towards that. All right. So I really want you as this step one or this habit one. And it's, if you take anything away from today's episode, take this one thing of how important it is to shift to an abundance mindset. And I really want you to focus on what's possible. Right? And open your eyes to exploring opportunities to grow your income. There are opportunities, right? So some things that really helped me when I was moving out of that scarcity mindset to a more abundance mindset was things like daily affirmations, right? Like again, like things like instead of saying like, I can't afford this or I'm broke or whatever, it's like affirmations like I'm working towards financial independence, right? Or I'm building my skills to become financially free, or I'm working on getting out of debt, or whatever that is, like just mantras to keep your mind right? Because that's where your action's going to go. So I think daily affirmations can help. Really visualization, right? So visualizing financial success. I can tell you that I've shared this story on social media before, but for me, a really big symbol for me that when I first got divorced is that I was like moving towards financial freedom as I bought my first Louis Vuitton bag. Actually, it wasn't my first. I had bought like a little tiny one like years ago, but all the other Louis Vuitton bags that I had were from my ex-husband. And I've shared this story on social media that right after I got divorced, I was like cleaning out my closet and I had this like wave of like fear and anxiety and like that feeling in the pit. And I was like, up in my stomach, and I like had this irrational thought like, well, who's going to buy me all my Louis Vuitton bags? And I can say this now, like with a smile on my face, because looking back, I know that it had nothing to do with the Louis freaking Vuitton bags. Okay. That's just all materialistic shit. Okay. It had nothing to do with that. What was really coming up for me though, is that obviously it was bringing up my old money stories that like, things are scarce and money is scarce and I would never be able to afford to buy myself something nice. And, it was really more of a sign of like safety and security that was being rocked for me. Right. But then I had to kind of check myself. And I had this moment where I was like, girl, freaking like my 25-year-old self. I love my 25-year-old self because she's fearless and she's a badass and I channel her all the time. And she showed up and she was like, girl, do I need to remind you? You made your own damn money before you got married. You made your own damn money while you were married. And girl, you will make your own damn money after you are married, after you've been married, when you're divorced. And so girl, you can buy yourself a damn Louis Vuitton bag anytime you want. Now, I didn't go out the next day and buy myself a Louis Vuitton bag, but I went out and as a symbol, right? And just as a symbol of me really like, making my own damn money and stepping into my power. Yeah, I went out and I bought my own, bought my own Louis Vuitton bag. And that was just a moment for me. I will say I have not bought one since just because for me, I realized like, yes, I like nice things, but that kind of stuff doesn't really matter to me. Sidebar, I would rather like go on an epic vacation than have a Louis Vuitton bag. Anyways, okay, I digress. So, I think that the visualization. So for me, it was like either visualizing something or even like, maybe, buying something for you that is even like a small token to just remind yourself of that abundance mindset. I also think that surrounding yourself with people who think abundantly is so, so damn important, right? If you're constantly around people who are always talking about being broke and they're not doing anything about your situation, well, that's probably what you're going to do too. So check yourself and the people you surround yourself with. Right. I really choose. This is why I love being in a circle with entrepreneurs because they oftentimes have such a growth mindset and such an abundant mindset. And that is super inspiring to me. Right. So surround yourself with people who think abundantly. This is exactly why, and I'll be honest with you guys, why I love doing group programs. I love coaching live group programs. I love coaching live workshops because I love bringing together in a room, a space where women can connect with like-minded women, right? Embracing this type of mindset and then taking action, right? This is exactly what my intention is for this December workshop, the first 5. So yeah, get in rooms with women who have this mindset as well, right? The second thing, or the second habit to really clear the path for you for financial freedom in 2025 is, girl, you got to have a plan. All right. You got to have a damn plan. So I want you to really create a clear financial plan. And I think really where this starts is it starts with first getting honest with yourself about where you're at financially. So girl, you got to know your numbers. If you are somebody who is in a marriage that your husband or your partner, they controlled the dollars. That's okay. Like I'm not shaking my finger or faulting you. That is a situation that is for most. And sometimes it's even like the woman controls the money. Usually it's like, I find like one partner controls the money. But if you were in that space or that situation and you did not know your numbers, girl, you got to know your numbers. You got to dig into them. You got to understand where you're at. You got to get together on a budget. You got to create a budget for yourself. Like hiding from your situation is not going to fix it, right? Like, but understanding it will. So I still, I'm 5 years out of this and I still, every month, I have an Excel sheet. I do it for my business. I do it for my personal too. And I budget. I know exactly what I've got coming in and I know what's going out and I know the budget that I have to spend for that. So I set up like an entertainment budget for myself, right? Just money set aside for like being able to go out to dinner, right? I have a travel budget because for me, travel is important, right? So not only do you have to really dig into like what your numbers are and understand your situation, it's a perfect opportunity for you to be able to prioritize like what's important to you and start like appropriating funds for that, right? I know that was for me, like one of the upsides of getting divorced is that I was in charge of my own damn money again. I didn't have to worry about what he was this stuff on, because we would fight a lot. In fact, I realized that I had more money when I when I got divorced sometimes, only because I knew exactly what was coming in and coming out, right? But it can be a really good time to evaluate your goals for your life, what you want, what's important to you. For instance, if eating out is really important to you and you love that experience, like really just unapologetically, like structuring your budget for what feels good for you. So you got to get in there, know your numbers, and create a budget. That's definitely important. I think one of the other things in creating that financial plan is really shift from this focus and this, because can be like our knee-jerk reaction. And I get it, because if I'm feeling financially strained, this is where I can go to. I think it's just normal. But we can, instead of like putting all of our energy into like cutting back, right? Which I know that there's a place for that, especially if you've got some debt you're trying to get out of, or if you've got some financial goals, like getting, kind of lean in your budget and getting really honest about what needs to go where is important. But I think what can be really important though is, instead of just focusing all your energy all the time and cutting back, focus your energy on strategically planning on how you can grow your income streams, right? And how you can grow your income streams for long-term financial stability. Super, super important. And this leads me into habit number 3, which is diversify your income streams. Now, this is exactly why I started my side hustle. One of the reasons why I started my side hustle 5 years ago, which was for my first company in the health and wellness, is because I wanted to have additional, income streams. When I started my company, my coaching business, and I had no intention of like quitting my full-time job. I had a sweet gig. I mean, I was in corporate sales. I was making freaking multiple 6 figures in my sleep. Like, no shit. I mean, I really was. But I was bored to tears with that. But I was like, man, I could definitely, do this. And I found a way to like be able to work the full-time job and do the side hustle. Eventually, fortunately, like with the right strategy and the right mentor, I was able to leave the full-time gig and take my coaching job into a full-time gig. But, what I realized is that when I was really focusing on just working like one income stream, like my corporate job, it just really kept me in that scarcity mindset. Then I also was always, like afraid too that I was like going to lose my job. And then it was like making me have anxiety all the time. But then when I felt like I had like another stream of revenue to fall back on, then that took a lot of that away. So, doing a side hustle or, starting some sort of online business or whatever, that can be a great way to diversify your income. I think also, what goes along with this, we're talking about diversifying your income, maybe through investments. Now, I know for some of you listening to this are like, God, I don't even know the first thing about investments. And I don't feel like I have a lot of money right now to invest right now, in investments. But here's the thing. One of the best things that I ever did for myself was really improve my financial IQ. So I went to a seminar and like learned all about like different ways to invest and like, really the ins and outs of like IRAs and 401s and 401ks and like all the things that to me for the longest time, especially in corporate America, I just like, I don't know, I got the form and I just knew I was supposed to contribute to it. And I knew that the best thing was to try and max it out and all these different things, but I didn't really understand it. I didn't really understand just even like any kind of investing. And so I think for me, that was a really big game changer, is like just understanding how to invest. And it doesn't take a lot of money to start investing. You just got to have somebody that you really, really trust, like a broker or somebody that you really trust. I do recommend going with a broker that's not trying to sell you anything, right? So like not necessarily going with a broker that sells like life insurance. Again, this may be an unpopular opinion, but it's just my personal opinion, is that, going with somebody who, and typically the way it works with a broker is like they will invest for you. And then they usually just take a little small percentage off your, like off the top, right? So that way, for me, that was kind of the better route because I found myself, I did go the other route before where I was working with somebody that like sold like life insurance and all this stuff. And I just found myself with like all of these like insurance policies and it just wasn't the right fit for me. So my advice would be to maybe seek out somebody that is a true broker that's not selling you something. So I think that could be, that's another way, right? That you could just learn to diversify your income stream. So as I said before, it's like I really do think that diversifying can also be about like making more rather than just like saving more. So again, I'm gonna keep plugging this, y'all, because I want you guys in that December workshop just because we are diving into all of this about how to diversify your income and achieve financial independence by creating your own business, right? An online coaching business. And that is how, like in that workshop, again, as I said earlier, like I'm going to show you how to create an online business, but I'm also going to share with you complete strategies on how to get started and have confidence that you're qualified to do it. So, I will tell you that when I first started my coaching business, my first company with the health and wellness business, I will tell you that I, at first where it started off, where I was just making a little bit of money extra, a little bit of extra money. And I just noticed that it wasn't like it was like such a game changer for like financially for me, an extra, $500 here, $1,000 here. It wasn't necessarily, it was helpful for sure. But I think even more so why, especially when I was just getting going, why it was so good for me is because it was showing me what's possible. And when I really believed in myself and I could see what was possible, then I just knew that like this, I could keep growing it and keep getting better and better. And it just made me see that I had a plan. Right. And it just made me move even more so into that abundance mindset. All right. So let me share the last habit that I want to share with you. And this is investing in yourself and your skills. I can't even express this enough, and hopefully you all know this, but you guys, personal development and really just growing yourself, right? Self-improvement is the best improvement or best investment that you can make. Now, I also realize as moms, sometimes it's the last investment that we make. And so I really want to flip that on its head. And I want you to really have a reframe on that. Because when we invest in ourselves and we become a better version of ourselves, we become a better version for those around us. And we know that, right? We do know that on a conscious level, but yet time and time again, when anything comes up to invest in ourselves and really work on ourselves, oftentimes we push it to the wayside. And I really, as we roll into 2025, I really want you to reconsider that. I really want you to rethink that because I share a lot on this show about how divorce, if you allow it, as painful as it is and traumatic as it can be an incredible catalyst for growth and transformation and personal development if you allow it. And you can create a life that you never knew possible, right? And so, I just think that investing in yourself, and doesn't even have, sometimes even it can start with just time-wise investing in yourself, just giving yourself a little bit of space, right? But really creating the habit of investing in yourself. And, I think what's really important is that, and I really want you to believe and take away from this and really understand is that there is nothing that you can't learn. When I first started my business 5 years ago, I had no idea what I was doing. I never started an online coaching business, but I believed in my ability to help others, and that's what I started with. And then I just surrounded myself with people that could teach me what I needed to know. Which is why I've always had a mentor, which is why, I've always had a mentor and business coach, because I really believe that I can learn anything. In addition, there are so many resources that are free, right? Like podcasts, online courses, books, YouTube. There's so many free resources to get you educated and that will teach you more than any formal training will do. I will say this though about the free resources. I do believe that the resources will only get you will only get you so far. And there's a couple reasons behind that, right? I think when we financially invest in something, we have more skin in the game. We're more likely to stick to something and really follow through. I also think that sometimes when you're trying to, especially when it comes to starting a business of your own, if that's something you're wanting to explore, When you are kind of DIYing it, you don't really have a cohesive strategy. And so then you could just kind of get paralyzed and not really know what to do, or you just find yourself spinning your wheels because you're trying a lot of different things. My business coach always says to me, Amber, there's a lot of ways to make money in the online space. You just have to find a strategy that works for you and stick with it. And I do believe that to be true. There's lots of different models in the online space that a lot of different business coaches teach and a lot of different people follow. And there's multiple ways to skin the cat, right? But it's about really following it all the way through and sticking to it. And so sometimes when you are just focusing all the time on all the free things, you lack that cohesive plan, right? So I do think that if you're just getting going, like the free things, take advantage of them, right? Like listen to this podcast, listen to other podcasts, like check out people's social media, YouTube, all the things. But then once you get to that place, like it will come to a crossroad where you need to take action, right? So I really just want you to, when we talk about investing in yourself, I really want you to think about that as like an abundance mindset move, right? Like even just by watching, downloading the ebook or watching the podcast, listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube video, whatever that is, you are opening the door to more earning potential. You are opening the door to more earning potential. So I think that is really all I have for you guys today, just to kind of recap on these 4 habits that I think are really going to move the needle for you when it comes to achieving financial stability and financial freedom in 2025. You first have to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. That's so, so important. You've got to develop a clear financial plan. You need to diversify your income streams, and you need to invest in yourself and your skills. And so once again, you guys, I want to formally just invite you again to attend my December workshop, #First 5. I'm going to be taking a lot of these things that I talk about in this workshop or in today's episode and even last week's episode, and really delivering just a value jam-packed workshop. One of the things with me, if you've ever done one of my workshops before, I am not a no fluff kind of girl. No, I like to give it to you, and I like to give it all to you. So there's going to be so much value, but this workshop is for the divorced moms who really want to start an online coaching business and really have a goal of diversifying their income stream in 2025 and really want to start their business and have a plan for it. So I'll put the show note or the link in the show notes, and you can just check out all the details of exactly what you're going to learn, what you're going to walk away with, and all the things. But this takes place December 18th. At 8 p.m. EST. Yes, it will be recorded, and you'll have lifetime access. I do highly encourage you, though, to go ahead and come live, because I will be there in real time, coaching you guys, giving feedback. We're going to be doing some building some things out for you in real time. So I'll put that in the show notes, and that's all I have for you. So thanks for listening today, you guys.